On this podcast, you'll find interviews with high-performing, successful individuals in life sciences. On a weekly basis, we cover their proven methods, principles, strategies, and mindsets to implement new technologies that scale to meet the needs of people in our world.
Welcome to the Life Science Success Podcast. My name is Don, and this is the early morning edition. So over the next couple of days, there's actually going to be two additional podcasts, and I believe that we continue this through the end of the year. And so I'm excited, with bringing on just a big variety of guests, and very excited for my guest today as well, Liesbeth Ceelen. So we'll talk about her in just a moment. The one other thing I wanted to remind everybody of is that I've built an OKR course for those of you who are deploying metrics inside of your company. This is a great way to learn how exactly to do it based on known principles in terms of implementing metrics in companies. And so with that, today on the Life Science Success Podcast, my guest is Liesbeth Ceelen. She's the CEO of BioLizard, an agile bioinformatics and data management consulting company providing tailored solutions in the life science industry. They specialize in the handling of complex scientific data and the application of state-of-the-art technologies, data-driven R&D, drug development, clinical trials, healthcare, and other applications. Welcome, Celeen.
Thank you.
Welcome, Liesbeth. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. I must admit that people from America call me from time to time Ceelen.
Sorry about that. It's too early for me as well. So it's, it's right now in Colorado, not to make too many excuses, but it's 6 a.m. right now. So it's a very early morning here as well. So yeah, welcome to the show. I appreciate having you on.
No, I'm very glad to be here today, for sure.
Very good. Can you tell the listeners just a little bit about yourself?
Yes, sure. Maybe normally I always start my professional life, but maybe I just should start with my private life. So it's probably as important. I'm a mom. I have 3 kids, 2 girls and a boy. I'm living in Belgium, for the people who don't know that yet. So Flanders, the beautiful Ghent. It's a great city. It's, by the way, also the biotech hub in Europe. Not many people know that, but there is a lot going on in data science, biotech. So great to live here. About myself, when I look at my professional life, I studied veterinary medicine. I did a PhD in veterinary sciences. And I'm sure that will come on, or we will talk about that later. But yeah, I used to be really a scientist. These days, I'm more a generalist. So I really like a lot. I like learning a lot constantly. So I'm always busy, to be honest. Sometimes I also think that I'm a bit boring, because when I'm busy, it's often related to my work. So everything is related to my work, but I like that. So I'm a busy girl. I like challenges, and I have 3 kids, and I'm a CEO. So that in a nutshell.
Very busy. Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, but I like it the way it is. So I'm really looking for things. I can't sit still. That's maybe my problem. So.
Yeah. It's, it can lead to a very, very busy life indeed. So in terms of the journey that you made from veterinary medicine to bioinformatics, what led to the creation of the BioLizard organization with your transition from veterinary medicine?
Yes, I get the question more often, to be honest. And when I was, graduated as a vet, I had no clue I ever would, or I should become a CEO of a bioinformatics company. Not at all. And I think 20 years ago, it was not even that common. But in a way, it's also logical. So I started indeed, I studied veterinary medicine, did my PhD. I could stay in academics setting, but I decided to go to industry. I really want to break out and see what's going on beyond the academia. And I had a great opportunity to start at J&J, so the pharmaceutical industry. And then every step that I took, in a way, it's very logical. So I started in the preclinical space, learning a lot about drug development as a study director, but really very scientific oriented. I did it for a few years, but then also my first kid was born. I really had to decide, should I stay in industry, in pharmaceutical industry, or should I just do something else? And also in Belgium, I live in Ghent. Janssen is far away, 200 kilometers commuting every day. So it's, I don't know how it is in America, but for us, it's quite a long, long journey every day. So I had to decide, should I stay there and build out my career there, or should I do something else? So I chose for the second option. Also because I had that entrepreneurship in me. I wanted to learn new stuff. I wanted to constantly have that new challenges. Not that they were not present at J&J, but it was another way of challenges. And from then on, I also became a freelancer, and I constantly worked in more startup companies, scale-up companies. Apparently, I'm constantly looking for that uncertainty, that challenge again. In a way, I took quite some risks. I must admit, the things that I did, it was not always a great success, but I always say you just have to try it and do it, and then let's see what comes out of it. So after J&J, yeah, in very briefly, I ended up more at the service side, so the lab environment, CRO, so contract research organization side, so serving pharmaceutical companies. It was more wet lab services, but then gradually I evolved more towards the bioinformatics dry lab services. So, and after, in 2019, I switched to BioLizard. Initially as a BD, so business development director. But we were very small, just 5 people. And I was more or less almost the oldest person of the 5 people. So I also took up much more roles in a natural way. So I started doing general management, stuff like that. And then after 2 years, I became the CEO of the company. And I must say that all the things that I did before, it was science, it was operational management, quality, business development, it all helped me to really become a CEO. I can still learn a lot, of course, today, but actually there was quite some logic behind my decisions and the journey that I did.
Yeah, it's always interesting to me how people pick up these bits of experience, and for many of us, right, it leads kind of to the point that we wind up in, but it's not necessarily naturally where we started out, right? So it's quite the journey you made.
No, absolutely. And if you start veterinary medicine, in the end, it's to become a vet doing practice. But already then I took another direction. I went to the lab, did a PhD. So that was actually already the first step in the long journey that I did. So and of course, I think for most people, you never plan it up front. You can't know what's happening in 20 years, but so it's hard work, taking decisions, taking risks. Sometimes have a little bit of luck. I think it's the same for everyone.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, in terms of BioLizard, what sort of services do you offer? I read quite a bit as I introduced you, but it'd probably be helpful to talk a little bit more about what specifically does your company offer?
Yes. So we're a consultancy company offering services. We're also developing some tools, but actually, in a very simple way, we help biotech, diagnostic, and pharmaceutical companies in getting out the most of their data. These days, companies start generating data in discovery phase, preclinical, clinical phase, even post-marketers. There's so many data. And from the moment they have a question which is data related, then we can help. And what does it mean? So it can be very exploratory when they want to understand, okay, how is my drug working? We can help them to get more insights. So it's very research oriented. It's really bioinformatics. It's like these days, probably I think people know what genomics is. It's DNA based, but RNA based transcriptomics. So any omics level we can handle. It's often quite complex, and not all companies have that in-house, that kind of skill. So there we can help. But we also do software development. For example, if a company would like to have a nice web application or a mobile app, we also can do that. Of course, always related to the biotech and pharma. So we're not going to do that outside of life sciences, of course. We also help them with data management. How do you have to structure your data, manage your data? It's more, let's say, IT related, but that's also a very important part. And then, of course, these days, AI, machine learning, it's also quite hot, but combined with the bioinformatics services that we do, it's really a nice full end-to-end solution that we offer. So that in a nutshell.
Do you also offer like staff augmentation whenever they have maybe a small bioinformatics team, but then they just need more people to try and analyze more data to get to the end result as well?
Absolutely. So it's either that we indeed place a lizard over there. Often we also can, or we offer more a team. And then the nice thing is that they really can pick the skills that they need, because it's so complex. You never will find the skills in one person. So it's really the extension of their bioinformatics team or R&D team, for example. So it's really the idea to be complementary to their bioinformatics team, indeed. Yeah.
Yeah, I've experienced that as well. I mean, we were trying to, bring certain things to light, by a certain, deadline. And the only other way was to hire, contractors or whatever. But it sounds to me like this would be a good solution as well, to be able to come back to your team of experienced people also.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
So and you just made a reference just a second ago to lizards. So I find it very interesting that you call your people lizards. Before the show we were talking about the fact that I like the company name and this reference. So whenever you talk about lizards, what sort of people do you have inside of your organization?
Yes, I will maybe explain in a minute why indeed BioLizard, why the lizards, but in the people that we have, it's because we offer such a broad set of services. We have all kind of profiles in-house. So we have bioinformatics scientists, often those people or experts have that biology background, which is crucial, of course, to understand our business. But we also have data engineers, computer scientists, computer experts, AI experts, software developers. So it's really a mix of people, and that is also the added value that we bring to the companies. That mixture, it's IT related skills, but also biology related skills, and bringing that together. That's why we offer the end-to-end solution. Why do we call them lizards? I must also admit, the first time that someone said to me the lizards, I thought, what is she saying? But now I also, we constantly use it. So if we look at the name BioLizard, bio refers to biology. Biology is embedded in everything that we do. It's crucial to understand the biology in life sciences. And lizard refers to the animal, a lizard, which constantly has to adapt in a fast and agile way to its environment. And it's that's what our people also have to do. They constantly have to adapt between projects, between clients, even within a big project. It's such a complex environment. So if you're really static, you won't be able to handle that. So that's why we call them the lizards also, because they're very curious. They look around. Um, a chameleon was maybe even a better name because they change colors, but they
Right.
to the personality of a chameleon. But yeah, that wouldn't sound maybe too good. So that's BioLizard, the name, why we call us BioLizards.
Yeah. And it may be an experienced one, could be a bio dragon.
Yeah, yeah. But I also can tell we always stick to the team. So we have an in-house team arranging culture things, social things, parties, and we call them the geckos. So
Oh,
we
nice.
stick to the team.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean it's good variety of lizards as well. So so where do you normally get involved with other companies? Meaning, sort of, are you working with them early stage or mid stage or late stage in their development? Where do you normally get started?
Definitely early stage, that's still a lot. So when we started about 3, 4 years ago, almost all of the work that we did, it was really early stage oriented. So discovery, preclinical stage, early clinical stage, because that's often very exploratory. And there is where we're really good at that part. So people that we get involved with, that we talk to, is often like R&D, head of R&D scientists, translational people, preclinical scientists, stuff like that. And that's still the majority probably of the projects. However, we are also more and more involved in later stage projects. For example, when we look at data management, it's broader than just preclinical. It's at the entire company level, and then it's early clinical or early stage, but also mid and late stage. That's often R&D related. I also must say that we get in touch more and more with IT people because we do that. We're always at the intersection of R&D and IT, and sometimes the IT department realize or recognize that there is a need for more or better data management, and then we get in touch with the IT department as well. So it really differs from client to client and from project to project. But I can say the earlier the better, because we really want to help them with setting up a roadmap, a
Mm,
data strategy, and then we see often that actually we come in too late, and then we think, if you should have called us 1 year earlier, it probably would have been more efficient. So I only can recommend, if you want to implement the data strategy, start as early as possible.
yeah. Yeah, I mean it's interesting to, with a lot of the studies that I've seen, I mean sometimes you can make an early decision that leads to later trade-offs, right? Where you're just sitting there going, if I would have just had this additional data point, I'd be able to clearly indicate this or that. So yes, I can understand.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. What sometimes biotech companies, or what I hear is, yeah, but we're very early stage. We don't know yet if it will become a success. So we won't invest in all the data management and data-driven way of thinking. But yeah, if they make it, they regret, because then, yeah, there is no structure, there is no strategy. So it's a trade-off indeed. Yeah.
And do you also get involved in, let's say, troubleshooting? I mean, whenever somebody is looking for something, but maybe they can't find it in their data, or they're running into some sort of roadblock with regards to analyzing their data. Do you also get involved in those sort of situations too?
Absolutely. We do a lot of troubleshooting. No, absolutely. And sometimes it is like if they developed an algorithm or a model to predict something, but the accuracy is maybe not as preferred, then they also can come to us and to see, okay, if you use your methods, your way, your approach, can you improve it? So that's also sometimes a request that we get to indeed troubleshoot or to look if any improvements are possible. Yeah,
Very good.
definitely.
From your perspective, where do you see the greatest challenges in life sciences?
It's a good question. In my opinion, I mainly think it is a challenge is that there's so many out there, so many new technologies. People are constantly coming up with new technologies, which implies also that there is always much more data, more complex data. But in the end, yeah, then you have to question or ask yourself, in the end, what is clinical relevance? So I'm a vet. I only look at the clinical relevance. And then sometimes I think maybe too many data are generated, or you need so many skills to analyze it. So that can be maybe a challenge, maybe not, but I think it could be a challenge because it's not always that straightforward anymore. What to do with data, what is important, what isn't, what kind of roadmap do you have to draft? So that, in my opinion, that can be one of the challenges. Yeah.
Yeah. And where do you see the greatest opportunities in life sciences?
For us, I think the challenge, that's also an opportunity. The more data, the more things that we can do for sure. So I think that's then also an opportunity. Um, there's still, of course, we can cure already a lot of diseases. If we look at cancer, we made a lot of progression, but there is still so much we still can do. I think cancer is these days still too deadly. So I think also with all those new insights and those new data and technologies, I'm sure that we still can make a lot of progression. So on the one hand, it's just a challenge. On the other hand, it's also a great opportunity, I think. What I also maybe can add to the challenges part is probably finding the right profiles, right? Finding the right people. Um, I must say that at this moment for us, it hasn't been a challenge too much. We still have a good influx of the right people. And with right people, I talk mainly about data scientists with that biology knowledge, clinical relevance understanding. But I think that may also become a problem more and more because, yeah, that kind of profiles, everyone wants to have them. So
Yep.
that could also be a challenge as well. Yeah, as well.
Absolutely. So there are three questions that I like to ask every guest. What inspires you?
Um, yeah, good. Also, again, a good question. I think just when I look in my daily life, just even people where I work with, collaborate with, my direct colleagues, and definitely when they're not like me, when they are, I'm more an introvert person, sometimes also more emotional. I have a colleague who is very rational, and sometimes the way he handles things, it's inspiring to me. So then I think the way he tackles, I can learn from it definitely. I also have a business coach. I'm more introvert. She's very extrovert. That also inspires me because then I see I can definitely learn a lot, and I try to copy some things. What also inspires me when I go to conferences, and not the science in particular, but more people, people talking about leadership,
Mhm.
management, all that kind of things constantly
Sure.
inspire me. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And then what concerns you?
These days, for sure, the more the things probably which I cannot control, and then I'm talking about the economic changes, and maybe difficult period that may come. Let's see. I don't know yet, but like energy crisis, that kind of things. Probably also politics. I don't think the politicians are always handling the things as it should be. So at this moment, in a professional way, but also even in my private life, that is a bit of a concern to me. So let's see how 23 goes, but I'm careful about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting looking at some of the just perspectives that politicians often will form, just, sometimes very unscientific approaches in some cases, just very not sort of dissecting the facts and really looking at the facts as well. So, I mean, especially, in the US where I am, I feel like there's just oftentimes, a vast void in their knowledge. And it just seems to me like there needs to be a way to also, educate people that aren't used to our space, just in terms of the things that can happen and the things that are completely science fiction as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
And then lastly, what excites you?
Okay. I'm not a person that constantly oops, I think I think I lost you for a few seconds.
Oh, you're good.
I'm not a person that is constantly yelling and screaming when I'm excited, but I'm a very result-driven person. It's also a bit my job, of course, but when we get our target, our revenue, it excites me. I may not tell it, but I'm definitely excited about that. Or when we get a nice contract with a nice client, that kind of things, for sure. But also sports, for example. So now, I don't know if you're into soccer, but the Red Devils, the Belgian team, they used to be number one, not anymore. But when they play and they win, and of course, I'm also excited. So or the tennis, we used to have good tennis players, mainly the women. Then when they won, it was also kind of an excitement. So sports, but then also my work. Yeah. But I'm definitely not a person that is constantly standing on a table and looking at excited.
Yeah.
There are things that excites me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually introverted as well. So, I mean, I typically, get my energy from quiet time. I don't necessarily get my energy from, sort of being with people and things like that. So I understand that. I mean, I enjoy being in groups of people. I don't want somebody to walk away from this podcast thinking that I don't, but at the same time, it takes something away from me, and I feel like I need time to recoup as well. So these times of excitement for us, all play out differently, and that's why I like to ask the question. Is it's always interesting to hear how people answer, for sure.
Yeah, but I'm a bit the same indeed. I enjoy being with people and going to conferences or doing a talk or whatever. But then I also need time to recharge again, to be alone. So I really can enjoy time on my own as well. Definitely when the kids are in bed, I have some time on my own in the evening. I really can enjoy that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So if you call that excitement, then I'm also excited about that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I get just as excited. I feel like, on both sides, sometimes learning something new whenever I'm completely in the quiet, versus, also being, very public and out in front of people. It can be enjoyable or excitable, either way, exciting either way.
Yeah.
Well, Liesbeth Ceelen, thank you so much for being a guest on the Life Science Success Podcast. I greatly appreciate your being here and sharing with us everything that you and the team at BioLizard are doing. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. It was really fun doing so. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for listening to Life Science Success. For complete details about this podcast, including show notes, how to get in touch with guests, and more episodes, please visit www.lifesciencesuccess.com. If there's someone you'd like for us to invite to the show as a guest, please let me know by sending me a message at the podcast website. Please click subscribe on your favorite podcast app, share the podcast, or tell a friend about it, and last but not least, rate the podcast. Thank you again.